We're going to move on to our second match now. It's Diamond Division, my division, as a matter of fact, against a couple people I've had the pleasure and misfortune of playing in the past. One of them is Magician, the old guard of Diamond, who's been here since season 2. Unfortunately, has struggled mightily the last 2 seasons. Went without a win a couple years in a row, I think, as a matter of fact, but tends to score a point here and there, but has started strong this season. A tie against Ponu, but an outright win against Falcon Hit, albeit a 7-5. A loss to Slappy, and tied myself, as a matter of fact, in a very dramatic set. So now heading into week 5, these matches were played a little out of order, by the way, up against YerAnd, who has also a draw to their name, but no losses, the newcomer of Diamond, who is right out of the gate in first place.
Yeah, that's very good performance by Magician, the matches that you just listed off. A bit surprising if you're saying that they've had kind of a struggle the past couple of years.
Yeah, has absolutely been hanging on in Diamond, winning hazard matches or getting promoted through admin promotes after drops, things like that. Can't quite seem to escape it, but has toughed it out and definitely seems a little sharper this year. And I often tell people the difference between winning a handful of points in a division like Diamond and getting almost none is maybe 5% skill. And that they seem to have that extra 5% this year, in my experience, at least after my match with them. And as a result, they're going to be stealing some points off people, and they're hoping YerAnd is one of those people. YerAnd hoping otherwise, as you can imagine. Let's get into the picks and bans here as soon as we can. YerAnd has shown an affinity for Aquarium, but Magician is going to refuse to ban it because they almost always ban Veranda. Absolutely hates it. It's become their default ban. They left it open against me last season and went 0-4, and that was one of the rare times they left it open at all. It is not one of their preferred venues. And YerAnd, as a matter of fact, has a great track record on Veranda, so there's no reason to overthink this one, is there?
Pretty interesting that all of the picks and bans and everything on there is all 4 of X's.
Yeah, all of them. Pretty much. Yeah, apart from the Veranda, definitely.
In fact,
YerAnd, by the way, bans Ballroom. Standard ban from YerAnd has struggled there. As good as they've been on Veranda, that's how much they've struggled on Ballroom. Why play around? Why keep it a secret? Just get rid of it. YerAnd restricts Tayen. Magician restricts Modern, which is 4-8 rather than 5-8 this season, so makes sense. YerAnd doubles Aquarium. There we go, just like I said. Magician doubles Courtyard, just a comfort pick, I think. Magician's track record on all these venues last few years, none of them are really good, but there's better or worse. And when you don't have a particularly obvious choice otherwise, you tend to pick Comfort, as you alluded to earlier. And YerAnd picks Modern after that, after it was restricted. Magician picks Gallery, which was one of their preferred picks last season, but it's also one of YerAnd, so maybe that might be why they didn't double it. Either way, we're going to start off on Aquarium with Magician as the spy. Aquarium has been the subject of much debate this week. Some of the new strats coming out of Platinum, where it can be theoretically impossible to shoot the spy during the entire mission win countdown. We'll see if any craziness like that happens here. Once again, we're starting the set off with Green Dress. It's Magician on Aquarium in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
yeah, Aquarium's been kind of hotly debated with the Shark options here. We'll see if either of these players have practiced that or have the finesse to pull off some of those behind the Shark mission when countdowns. Courtyard, the other one that's been talked about recently, so I'll be interested to see that venue.
Yeah, a
And
lot of
how it plays
discussion
out.
about whether or not it needs more spy agency, whether or not it's stale, whether or not it's boring, and a lot of frankly good arguments on both sides. It's one of the better SpyParty debates we've seen, although all of them are pretty good and pretty substantive as far as online communities go in particular. Magician has done nothing to start this game. We're near the Ambassador. We might be waiting for the Shark to come cover, and they don't because the Ambassador leaves before then. We have a very slow Ambassador, by the way. Very unusual Ambassador pick here with White Dress.
Yeah, I wonder if Magician just does full random. Doesn't choose their ambassador. I guess we'll
Hmm.
find out as the rounds progress. We go for a briefcase, we cancel it as Taft takes it before us, and then we're going to head in for our first flirt.
Cancel looks fine, but YerAnd decides not to reward it with a low light. We do go next to our seduction target because there's a spot open right next to them, and here we go. We're waiting. Oh, let's see. And 9 seconds, 10 seconds? Okay, so they're adding a few seconds on today. Don't worry, Screw. 7's just the median, right? The actual average doesn't tell you too much. Don't worry. We haven't given away too many strats. 51% the flirt for Magician, and that's a big deal because one of the reasons we've mentioned for Magician struggles over the last couple of years has been a very low AT rate relative to their skill level. But it seems a little higher this year. It's about 10% higher. Still under 50, which is not what you normally see at this level, but it's at the point where it's not automatically losing them games. And when you see those green tests early, it's usually a good sign that Magician might have a little gas in the tank. Our seduction target leaves right afterwards. We do a standing bug. I think we're trying to time it with the fin, but we did not. The question is YerAnd looking for it? Because it didn't feel that vulnerable.
Yeah, no reaction from YerAnd Sniper as of yet. We're going to head into the middle conversation to pick up our flirt. We go the long way around over to that spot. I wonder if that's a pathing tell there that Iris chose to go all the way around rather than just around the right side of it.
We get another flirt here. This one's white. We did follow, and I would not read too much into the lack of movement on YerAnd's part. Some snipers react very clearly to things like that, but YerAnd a little less likely to, so I think this bug might have been suspected, but YerAnd's going to wait for that mission count almost definitely. It's going to be a little more aggressive on Aquarium because it can be harder to be confident about mission count, to be sure, but we are nowhere near a potential finish, so going to have to be at least a BB or a second statue visit to even consider it. We do have the first statue visit, however, 85% in the flirt, 2 of these done, and a fingerprint to boot. So if that bug is suspected and YerAnd is waiting for a real reason to shoot, almost anything we do next might qualify.
Right.
And what will it be next? Our seduction target's walking around with a briefcase. We're just going to go into this conversation, and it looks like we are setting up for a contact here because this is the real double agent. This looks like an okay BB. Nah, 4 people out, now 5. It's rapidly deteriorating. We might actually want to wait for people to enter. 2 more leave instead. So I don't know if you want to take it now, but you only have a minute left, and you still have partial progress across 3 other missions. At least one of those is going to be wasted, by the way, if we do this contact.
We do have the ambassador placing a fingerprint on a statue right behind us, so that could be our out once we get contact and seduce. We could finish both inspect and fingerprint at that one. We're probably going to head over to the bar to try and finish up our flirt behind the shark here.
Yeah, we are going to, and the double agent left in the meantime anyway, and that might be better because, as I mentioned, if we contact, mission progress will be wasted across either inspects or fingerprint, and we can finish both with 1 visit if that was noticed, and we were so close to it, it has to have been noticed. We are going to reject the drink. Oh, I'm not sure if that was done quite right or not, but it doesn't matter. We're going to path by the ambassador, even though we already have the bug. We're going to go to windows, and I guess we're going to wait until the last second. Which print was it? Was it this one that Duke's picking up, or the one next to it?
It's the one next to it.
I thought so. Just wanted to confirm. I'm glad you guys are paying a little more attention than I am. And we are going to go to it. That little interval to just wait a little bit longer, try to take some heat off. I don't know if it's going to work because we're completing 2 things at once, and I think that bug might have been suspected. There goes the laser. It's drifting to the left, setting up the shot. You could see that shot coming before it actually happened. That little drag of the laser to the left.
Yeah, inches over to get ready for the shot, and good memorization by YerAnd that was a fingerprintable statue, as expected at this level of play. You've got to put a lot of time in between letting it sit and then taking it on Aquarium, or really any venue, but I think Aquarium as well.
Yeah, I think so. Completing inspects and fingerprints pretty bad, even if the bug is not suspected. It's so easy to credit on here. So when you complete 2 Softel missions in the waning seconds of an Aquarium game, you might take that shot even without the bug being suspected at all. Either way, YerAnd picks up the win 1-0 and is now playing as Taft on Aquarium in 3, 2, 1, playing it. This is a fast character, which allows us to do a lot of tricksy things behind the shark if we want to, and YerAnd has shown a propensity for exactly that. We're taking control and going to windows to see where the party settles to decide what to do, but something tells me there's already a game plan.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if YerAnd goes for the time ad in the back right corner. That was some tech that we saw when Aquarium first came out. He kind of blends in with the color scheme over there, but not one that we've really seen used that often in SCL since.
Our host's ears are burning. That was Lazy Bear who did it during the Shark Weekend tournament. And YerAnd does the brazen aquarium bug I mentioned earlier that Legorv did on Ballroom. Behind the shark, you just crash bug the ambassador and go right back to the spot you were in. And which sniper is going to notice whether or not your feet are in exactly the same spot? Good luck with that. Bug is clean.
Contact yeah, I think we're going to start seeing some changes in that where you just said what sniper would expect that, but with Aquarium, as that bug happens more and more, I think it's something that's going to get picked up at the higher levels of play, of looking for those people that are in a slightly different position post shark drive by there.
It's tough though, right? Sometimes you highlight for a real BB conversation. Imagine highlighting for it could have a bug behind middle shark. Imagine all the highlights. It's a real cost to the sniper though, to try to do that. We do get a flirt, by the way, in the meantime, 51%. We have a ton of time now. The hardtail already done. Something tells me YerAnd's not going to want to finish with inspects, though, because as I mentioned earlier, even if you don't see the bug, sometimes you get shot just for doing that because Aquarium.
Yeah, it's kind of like the old Tan or even the Tan now, where bug is going to be credited to just about everyone, and you're really shooting for the 3rd mission.
Yep, this is a white test on the flirt, so we can't rush quite as much as we'd like, but we are going to run away anyway to make it quick. We're going to do some kind of weird redirect. Were we trying to do that completely behind the shark? I'm not sure. There was no one on that side of the venue to block us at all for the redirect, so I can't imagine what the logic was there unless we thought the shark was covering it. Regardless, I don't see any indication that Magician is noticed. We're just going to try to finish that flirt up. We bumped the cooldown timer just a little bit. Not enough that we can flirt again immediately, but it's going to happen a lot sooner than it would have otherwise. If anything, you don't want to be as fast there. Seduce is done. 3 missions, 2 minutes. You got 1 mission left to do. That's more than enough time, but what's it going to be? What do you think? Inspect Purloin? I'm leaning Purloin myself.
Yeah, I'm thinking Purloin, but it doesn't seem that there's been a ton of bar visitors, so that can be a little bit dangerous. YerAnd heading back to the corner for, we're going to pick up a statue. This could be a swap. I think we have a high shark coming next.
Yeah, no, it's going to be middle shark, but we could still get away with a swap because it's so early. It's a green test too, and we're going to put it right down. Yeah, that was the question when they went back there, right? Inspects or swaps. It's just a swap. Magician looks like they're really worried about a bug too, by the way, so I don't know if this is going to be seen at all. We're going to run very, very far away. A cast member is the only one back there who's about to get called. Duke? Queen? Queen's a highlight. That would be better. It is Queen. She beats the twin to the spot. That's very good for YerAnd if they were going to get caught anyway. We are hiding at the bookshelf in the meantime, and this fade is not really visible on screen. It doesn't look like we're even looking for it. I don't know if a shot's going to come off or if a swap has even been noticed.
Yeah, I don't think it's noticed, and I'm a bit surprised that it wasn't checked, as the party is pretty docile here at the end. There's not many people going towards the ambassador. There's one person at the statues, and there's just not much going on. Really, the only thing that Magician needed to be watching for was that swap.
Yeah, we often say that if you can get to 4 missions on a venue like Library, it's very hard for the sniper to shoot. They need to have you need to be a suspect, right? You need to have the person a suspect when they go in for that late swap on Library or other things like that. Similar thing on Aquarium. If you get to the 3rd mission when one of them is bugged that leaves no trace, if you get to the 3rd mission without being any kind of suspect, you're much more likely to get away with something like that swap or a purloin. Either way, YerAnd wins nice and clean, it seems. Swap not even noticed. Up 2-0 on their doubled pick, so already guaranteed at least a split. Magician trying to pick up at least one win here. Hey, it's Seek again on Aquarium in 3, 2, 1, playing it. This is just a strong pick for YerAnd, and we're seeing why right now. That's a little bit of a hitch on the end of the bar already from Magician. I don't think it's noticed in the chaos, but not a great start.
Yeah, not something you want to do against YerAnd either.
Right, yes, yeah. I would say YerAnd significantly above average in noticing pathing. Now, whether or not they want to reward lowlights or take highlights for it is another matter. If you're going to do it, probably do it in the beginning of the game at least, because you don't want it happening while they're already watching you.
Yeah, likely to go. It seems that it was unnoticed. I mean, I guess we don't see it. We don't know what YerAnd is thinking, but no lighting change. We're going to pick up our first flirt for 34%. The ambo was there, so we could maybe go for this briefcase.
Yeah, someone's going to, and if we don't, we want to take a note of who does, given how quickly YerAnd shot for a fingerprint before. We're going to BB into a briefcase attempt. I like this a little bit to cover for it. Not bad. You might get a low light, you might not, but either way, it might help distract from the fingerprint. Pretty good stop for Magician, too. Not bad. That's all in all a pretty good move. Whether or not it's going to work, I don't know, but that's kind of the level you're at now, where you can do really good stuff and still lose.
Yeah, we
SD
went for
leads.
the BB into briefcase to try and get the low light. It didn't work out, but I still think the attempt was totally worth it. With the banana bread having recently gone off, it's very possible that YerAnd doesn't even notice that Magician picked up a fingerprint there.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that might be the only way you get things by. You know, on mid-level, sometimes you'll use a BB to distract from a hardtail, like a purloin, a bug, a swap, whatever. At the higher level, sometimes you're using it just to distract from one fingerprint. That's the level we're at, people. Magician goes into statues, gets an inspect and a highlight for the trouble. And we have partial progress across the same 3 missions we did last time, other than contact, except last time we didn't have contact at all. So we're looking at the same kind of scenario. We might be looking for just another boring softail finish. It's a bit of a bump and a redirect into bar. I'm not sure about the pathing on that one, but I'm also not sure if it matters. And again, if Magician is thinking of purloining here, they will have wasted mission progress somewhere else and accrued suspicion for something they're not going to finish.
Another way to look at it, though, is leaving missions half complete, visible to the sniper, can be very powerful, because the sniper is then waiting for Magician here to finish inspect before taking the shot, when in actuality, Magician doesn't even need it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go for that type of strategy.
That's exactly what we discussed earlier in the cast, and I agree completely. And against a caliber of sniper like YerAnd, that's the kind of thing that will be noticed. 1 statue visit, not 2. By the way, we went for a difficult fingerprint at bar. That was the rationale there, but we missed it. I don't know if it was going to matter either way, but this will change our plans, presumably. There's no real room next to our seduction target, except next to the ambo, and we're going to take it anyway. We have a drink in hand, so we're not going to be suspected for this bug. But we're going to have a lot of trouble finishing here, because this is just our second flirt at 68%, which means we're going to have to be close to a finish, and we only have a minute and a half left, and we're still going to have to go back to get more done, or not. YerAnd's having none of it already. I think already suspects the bug, and is probably crediting that with that difficult. It looks like Magician went for fingerprints in 2 games where YerAnd was staring at them.
Yeah, that's a surprising shot, as there was no hardtail really showing. The other thing to look at is that Seek, or Magician there, went next to wheels for every single flirt. That was the 3rd time they had left and came back and stood next to wheels, alternating the position each time. But there could have been a bit of flirt pairing that was going on there at the end too.
Something people don't talk about a lot, but I've definitely noticed in my prep and matches over time, is that fingerprint, if the snipe in the right game, is incredibly powerful, because sometimes snipers will forget about individual fingerprints or forget about the mission entirely for a while. However, if they are staring at fingerprint and you decide to do fingerprint, you lose. If they bank on fingerprint and you go for it, you pretty much lose, even if you're going for difficults, which is the case here, by the way. That was a failed difficult print attempt. YerAnd shot as if it has exceeded already. And it seems pretty likely that whatever the wisdom of going for fingerprints in general in this match for a Magician against YerAnd on Aquarium, whatever, in this case, YerAnd was banking on fingerprints pretty hard both times and wins both times as a result, and now is spying on Aquarium for a chance to go up 4-0 on their doubled venue as Ponytail in 3, 2, 1, playing it. I mean, based on this, the swiftness of both shots was definitely counting fingerprints, even difficults. Those were not the games to try that.
Right. Yeah, and if you're YerAnd, you're feeling very happy about this. You always want to go up at least 3-1 on your doubled pick heading into theirs, because you might be worried that you could go down 1-3 against them, because it's kind of their comfortable venue. So YerAnd has a little bit of play here, having already 3 points, may go for something a little bit more risky to test the waters.
You mentioned earlier about the Taft time ad thing, though. I mentioned our host's ears were burning. That's because Lazy Bear, today's host, was the person who did that in the Shark Weekend tournament. Yeah. You deserve all the credit in the world. I thought that was hilarious, my friend. I mean, maddening, don't get me wrong, but also hilarious, and I'm kind of glad it worked. Lazy Bear, breaking the game for everybody, like a good early access participant. YerAnd has a flirt in already, by the way, 33%. That's obviously not going to get it done, floating point values probably aside, but we're going to timer flirt anyway and try to get another one. There's the timer. There's the flirt. Oh, the floating point helps us, 67%, so we are going to be fine if we want to timer flirt again, although something tells me YerAnd might not want to.
Did we get a patch after that was discovered with Taft? Am I recalling that correctly, that he adjusted where those pads were a little bit?
I'm not sure, but I think it's still pretty viable from what I was seeing the other day.
Still very viable, yeah.
Yeah, still very viable, but there is a cost, right? It's not something you can just exploit. There's a BB coming off, by the way. It's a pretty darn good one for Aquarium, 3, maybe 4. Some people entered just before. Those also get lowlights from Magician, so a little aggressive on the lowlights, but it hasn't hurt them yet. The spy is not among them, and that's the important thing. So the contact is done. Seduce is 2/3 of the way done, and we are at a busy bar, albeit, this is very significant, 5 people at bar, only 2 of them not lowlights, though. So if we do Purloin here, it might be more narrowed down than YerAnd is expecting. And it's going to, even more so now that General is not taking a drink. Taft comes there right after us. That's our seduction target. We still need to flirt with him one more time. Here comes the drink tag. We're going to immediately Purloin. Did not see that coming.
Yeah, me neither. Very interesting. I mean, it's probably for the better, since, as you said, a lot of the people that were at bar were lowlights anyways.
The overwhelming majority of purloins on bar venues are delegates and not directs, and that creates the opportunity for a little counterplay. YerAnd did this against Falcon Hit on Redwoods, by the way. Took a direct on Redwoods and got the Civ shot as a result, if I recall. Might be trying to do the same thing here, lean into the fact that people assume the delegate, and now we have 3 missions done and almost 2 minutes to get the last one done. YerAnd, again with the pacing, very strong on Aquarium. Both games has found themselves with almost 2 minutes to do one mission, and you gotta imagine it's gonna be bug here.
Yeah, we have a little bit of extra time to try and set up for a bug. Next shark, I believe that was a middle shark that we just had, so we could see a lower shark coming next. I haven't been keeping track of what's up, but
oh boy.
General takes the shot in the back.
General takes a shot in the back after going to bar and not taking, as I mentioned earlier, but was one of the highlights and approached a back statue late, and that is reason enough. By the way, we were going into bookshelves. I wonder if we were going to ride that shark from case to case and do our own little bit of tech. YerAnd tends to favor that sort of thing, but we're never going to know for sure now, because Magician shoots a Civ, and YerAnd is up 4-0 going into Courtyard, which is not exactly a comebackable kind of venue, is it?
Right. And General did finish. That was General finishing in specs as well.
That's all it takes sometimes. It feels like a 3-5 sometimes, doesn't it? Where you just assume everybody's got a bug. You assume people don't usually do microfilm, but they still can. And when they finish inspect, sometimes that's reason enough. You assume you missed something. And they did, just not that. Anyway, Magician's now down 4-0. At least they're going into their doubled venue now. Let's see how smart this choice was. Playing as Bling Twin on Courtyard in 3, 2, 1, playing it. And this, as I mentioned earlier, pretty much just a comfort pick from Magicians. Played a lot of it. We tried to do a bug immediately, and it fails. And I don't think YerAnd saw it, though, so that's okay.
Yeah, Time of Chaos bug. The angle I don't think was too terrible, so it looks like we're going to get away with the attempt. Seduction target comes to us, which you love to see.
Magician always gets a good BB off on Courtyard, makes a point of it. Completes contact, by the way, almost 95% of the time on Courtyard, which, you know, obviously is completed a lot, but that's an obscenely high rate for any player on any venue. Inspects a lot, too, for that matter, and their 4th mission, it's a pretty even spread between Bug Swap and Purloin, so you see Magician has played Courtyard enough that they have a pretty good sense of what to do. Green test on the BB is going to help. We're going to knock out a Statue Visitor, but that's about all. That's a pretty darn good one there. I think Walt is also a potential low light going into statues, but YerAnd is not confident in that. Could have been a split, I think, because we're right next to that conversation. Going to think better of it, and that is a really good BB.
Yeah, great banana bread. And you said that Magician's 4th mission spread on Courtyard is evenly distributed, including Purloin. How does that stack up against just Courtyard as a whole. Is Purloin up there in percentage as a fourth mission?
Yeah, it actually is, and it's kind of the same thing as before, as I mentioned, where people resort to Purloin, but when they win more often, it's because they get a good bug off. The real interesting thing here is, though, he actually swaps a little more often than he Purloins. That's the weird thing. Having Bug and Purloin up there, pretty common for Courtyard. They are the two more effective missions. And having Fingerprint low is also not that weird. Having Transfer the Microfilm really low isn't that weird either, for that matter. But it's the swaps that set Magician apart that create a little bit better mission spread-wise than you get from most spies. We have 95% in the flirt, by the way, and we are going to go try to finish that flirt right now. We can talk about mission spreads because this is the middle part of the Courtyard game where most spies are just making soft tail progress, and that's certainly the case here.
Yeah, Courtyard very much a venue of the spy is usually going to get Seduce and Contact done, and usually gets Inspect done, and it's a battle of the fourth mission. Typically alternating between Fingerprint, Bug, or Swap. Purloin, as you're saying, is used, but I think it usually results in the spy getting shot.
Yeah, usually does. It's the kind of thing you do when all the other plans fail. Magician has a minute left and 2 missions done, and they haven't gone to statues yet, and there are a lot of highlights though. So this might be an inordinately good game to get something done late. Nice little path from Magician into statues there. Very smooth, very AI-like. His micro is definitely better this season with both the ATs and some of the pathing, I would say. Inspect's coming out, green, green, and we gonna swap? We are gonna swap. It's a green while Ponytail's on the other side, and there are a lot of highlights around. Drink rejects, Ambassador not that vulnerable. Obviously nothing on screen yet, but who's gonna take? That's the question, and are we gonna see the fade? It's gonna be a highlight, it's gonna be Duke. And where they hold the statue could matter. YerAnd doesn't look like they're protecting the fade. They come back just in time to see it.
Take a
It's
drink
not
to
on screen.
distract.
It's not on screen. We take a drink to distract, and it's not a Purloin. And we see it too late, and Duke takes the shot. We don't guard the swap, and Magician with a spy win on Courtyard.
Yeah, I was expecting that too, because as we were inspecting the statue prior to us hitting the green swap, YerAnd never rotated to see if it was a white swap. He just let the spy inspect and walk away without really ever checking to see if there was even a white swap in place. So I don't think we were too much of a suspect. And then
Yeah,
taking the drink at the end pulled the laser over for a bit of time as well. So good play by Magician.
we did rotate over just in time to see Duke's pickup and see whether or not it was a green or white, but it looks like that was incidental. We were, as you mentioned, I think, watching the drink take and said, drink take, then a double take, and we see Duke. Oh my goodness, that's not the shape that was before. And I've got to shoot. That'll work. I think the problem there is that too many people have highlights. Too many people could be done. Either way, Magician scores a big win, and this could be their way back into this. 4-0, though, is a huge hole. And now, if we'd won even one of those aquarium games, we would be in a position to knot this back up pretty easily, but we didn't. So the hole's a little bigger than it would normally be. YerAnd, also pretty darn good spy, so you can't take this one for granted. Playing as Walt Disney, again on Courtyard, in 3, 2, 1, playing it. And I mentioned Magician like those swaps, and boy, we saw it right there. Again, that's a relative thing. Doesn't swap that often, but some people don't swap very much at all, especially on Courtyard. So even a modest amount of the time really stands out. YerAnd, on the other hand, it's more traditional Purloin Bug, about equal measures, pretty straightforward. We're doing nothing. We're alone in a conversation here.
Yeah, idling with the Ambassador, maybe hoping to pick up a low light for it. Our seduction target is heading over to the side of the venue and joins conversation over there, but it looks a little bit full. We might wait for someone to leave so we can get a bit closer.
Yeah, we're laying low here. And question is, YerAnd's shown such good pacing. On Aquarium, you have a lot more time, and you can do a lot more very quickly. Not really the case on Courtyard, so you got to do something sooner rather than later. That's what YerAnd decides to, and there is a spot next to our seduction target in this other conversation, a very big, full, glowing conversation. It has an SDA in it. We don't know that. We're going to get a white test on the flirt. 2 minutes left and only a third of the flirt done. Slow start, but a few highlights coming out already from Magician, so this party could be hard to wrangle late if YerAnd has to rush, and it's looking like they might have to.
How much time are you putting in on Spy to determining who the suspected double agent is? Is that something that you're tracking when you're playing Spy, especially on a venue like Courtyard where it's a little bit easier because it's smaller?
Yeah, on Courtyard, probably not. I
red.
don't think it's usually profitable. Obviously, in the 3-5s, you kind of have to sometimes. That's a BB, by the way, and it's such a counterintuitive BB. We are alone with the double agent, but we're behind the statue, and a lot of the other conversations were full, so I think this might actually work pretty well. There are only 2 lowlights in this party, and I just can't imagine if Magician is parsing this a little bit, they've got to be thinking that really doesn't look like the conversation with the real one in it.
Right. No, I like that. I like that BB. It's, as you said, very counterintuitive, so it can end up working. Thinking, what spy would be the only person in conversation with a double agent and go for the banana bread.
Yeah, spies hate that, but you are also counting on the sniper to notice and trust them, and that can always be a perilous thing. When you try to do something tricky that assumes the sniper's noticing all things, tends to blow up in your face as often as not. We're going to go over for this briefcase with a minute left. This is a little late to be starting Fingerprint, but there are still options here. fingerprint comes through, it's not difficult, so that was a given as long as we clicked, and we did. Are we going to try to bug? Ambassador walks away, so we're not going to get a chance to see anyway. We're going to keep following them, too. Even though we're low on time, we're going to absolutely make sure this briefcase is returned. The conscientious YerAnd running out of time, but not lacking on manners. Going to go over, got to have to get another flirt. Nope, seduction target leaves right afterwards, and now our prospects for winning are dwindling. If we get a rejection from Seek, I think we just have to purloin and hope for the best, but let's see what YerAnd thinks. Seek takes the drink, 40 seconds left. We do not have much progress anywhere. You just got to hope for a miss shot here on a purloin, I think. Green and walk away, probably. Here it is. It is a green, and it is a walk away. Is it going to be into statues? Probably, but we can't finish flirt right afterwards. No, it's going to be a flirt instead. Possibly a fake BB to distract. I don't know. The guest list is being offered to General. General rejects. Is not a statue visitor, though. And it looks like it's going to be Ponytail next. Toby trying to get to her. No, redirects himself. We have a green on the flirt in the meantime. 18 seconds left, 81% on the flirt. Who's going to take this freaking drink? It's not going to be Duke. Duke doesn't want it either. Oh my goodness, this purloin is still hanging. Is Magician gonna have it when it happens? And will it matter? We reject again! That could absolutely hurt. That could absolutely hurt. We have refreshed the reject. And if General takes now, there's a really good chance Magician's gonna get him. That's a time ad by the window, and we get highlight for it. We pick up a difficult briefcase in the meantime. Do we hit it? No! General takes the drink. The list is gone. YerAnd's on the other side. Magician pauses. Looks. No reaction yet. Oh, there it is! Snaps over at the last second. It all came flooding back to him.
Yeah, very unfortunate that Toby came back to us during the middle of that chain. In other circumstances, you would love to take the drink there to take your own green purloin because the list doesn't disappear, and from the sniper's perspective, the chain is thus reset. But with the time on the clock and us needing to get possibly inspect or something else, we don't want to have the drink in hand. We just don't have the time for it.
That's a great point. You might want to do that move where you take the drink and have the next person take the green fade. There's a really good chance Magician's not going to be watching closely for the fade because you just had a take too late in the game. So much else vying for your attention, but you can't have that drink in your hand. You need to inspect, you need to bug, you need to do something else. I love that pause after the purloin, 6 or 7 seconds, the camera didn't move, and then all at once you could see the moment in the replay that Magician remembered what had happened, snapped the laser over, and won the game. Oh man, there it is, right there. You could hear the gears turning, then they lock into place. Sniper locks onto the spy. 4-2. 4-2, getting a little interesting here. And if they can win another spy game, oh boy, things are going to get real interesting. Playing as Orange Sari on Courtyard again in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, great patience by Magician. I mean, that's a hard shot to hold on for. Playing against YerAnd, nonetheless, you're probably pretty tempted to take a shot towards the end of Courtyard there.
We still needed to hit that difficult fingerprint, which we didn't. And I think we needed one more flirt, too. I think we were at 81. So that was going to be really tough to finish. It was indeed a late rush. And a Magician gets oh, no. It's just a misclick on the highlight. I thought maybe flirt paired early. Although, who does that in Courtyard? Only a few people. But it doesn't matter. We get the flirt clean, 34%. Decent progress. And this character, because of her slow walking speed and subtle arm movements, pretty good for bugging. And that is usually the mission, the strongest mission. If you get a good opportunity on Courtyard, it'd be interesting to see if Magician goes for that, or if they try swapping or purloining, something like that again. We're going to leave, head to this other conversation, try to get a BB in early, I think. There's someone at statues, and a few people are bouncing around. It's not great, but these two conversations are pretty full, and if this third one becomes one, yeah, 2 more people enter. This is a pretty good time. Magician, as I mentioned, getting those good banana breads. We knock out a statue visitor, but it's someone who was already walking around the other side, going for briefcases, it turns out. Magician really getting those good banana breads, really paying a lot of attention to it on Courtyard.
Yeah, as you noted, Magician is prioritizes contact double agent on this venue and usually ends up with a very good one, and it happens yet again.
It's
back
interesting.
over to flirt.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I see a really high contact completion rate on a venue, that by itself, that doesn't tell you too much, but I've noticed it correlates to them getting good banana breads. It shows that they prioritize the mission in both senses. So when I see a high contact rate, I assume good contacts, and I'm rarely disappointed, and that's certainly been the case here. Magician with great contacts in both games. Another flirt in the meantime, by the way, 85% there, and we've got pretty good progress, but we're heading towards that familiar point in every game where contact and flirt are done, and we've got a minute left. We're just destined to end up there, it seems.
Yeah, I'm expecting Magician to head in for inspects around this time. You don't want to be going to statues too late, and we have a bit of downtime right now anyways.
Yeah, what I like, by the way, about this flirt percentage is that you can do the hardtail before the flirt this time. You can do it earlier in the game because you know it's very likely you're going to be able to leave the hardtail site, be it the purloin, the swap, a bug, whatever, and immediately get the flirt in the chaos so that you're not actually giving up that 10-second mission win countdown reacting time problem for the sniper. You still get that benefit without doing them in that exact order. And is that what Magician's thinking? Is it inspect, swap into flirt? When you have this much flirt, when you know you can get it done, as long as the SC doesn't run away from you, you're in good shape. We're going to immediately swap, and YerAnd does a little bit of a jiggle on the sniper side. I don't think they were expecting that. They're trying to figure out who was there before. They're assuming it's a green. They're assuming it's a green, and they shoot the twin, and the swap trick works again. From green to white to green, flips it up, flips the script, wins them both.
Yeah, great job by Magician there. And
Jeez.
that was the twin that was there before, right? Let me take a
I
look.
think
Yeah,
so.
it was.
I think
Yeah,
so.
it was, yeah.
I mean, YerAnd, you know, again, unprepared for the swap, but does have the presence of mind to shoot the correct person for the wrong reason there, at least. Wow. Magician, 2 swaps on Courtyard, 2 wins, and now, after being down 4-0 after Aquarium heading into Courtyard, not the kind of venue you want to be scoring spy wins on against an elite sniper. 1 sniper win away from sweeping their own venue and being tied after 8. Playing General YerAnd is in 3, 2, 1, playing it, and boy, even though you're not in horrible shape 4-4 if you lose this, can be a little tilting potentially to give away
Yeah,
a lead of
shift
this
the
size.
momentum.
Yeah, really. Especially, oh, that's a quick window leave too, but I don't think that's going to get noticed.
I would much rather be in Magician's position here to bring it back up to 4-4 from being down 4-0 than to be up 4-0 and then lose 4 in a row, right? Heading into the venues on the latter half of the set.
That's a great point. Either momentum isn't a thing and you're even either way, or it is and you're in the driver's seat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all upside there. Toby is highlight. Do you highlight Toby before the purloin is done?
No.
Me neither. Do you lowlight them when the purloin is done?
No, I just low light them off the start and leave them that way.
Interesting. Everyone does a little differently, it seems. YerAnd has a couple flirts in already, 64%. We're across from our seduction target, but it's a small conversation, and that's just a white purloin. That's just a white purloin, and this is going to be narrowed down at best. It's going to be a shot at worst. We're bouncing into the Amba. Magician is looking around. There's the low light. How long are they going to wait here? I don't know if that fade was as visible as you'd like, but I don't even know if there was a reject chain in front of us, and we pick up a stealth highlight. Yeah, this is over. Almost definitely.
A bit delayed. I think that highlight might just be because it's someone holding a drink. I have a feeling that Magician doesn't actually know who did that purloin, and these highlights are on people that are holding drinks now. I think it was noticed very late because it was a pretty unexpected timing. You don't expect a white purloin that early on Courtyard.
You're right, but if that's the case, then this game could actually still be winnable for YerAnd.
I think it is.
A suspect could go to inspect. That's sometimes all it takes. If the purloin is genuinely missed, sometimes you just look for the timing, or you wait for the BB at minimum. That's the real test. We have joined the conversation with the double agent, and this is probably the moment of truth. If we survive this, things get a lot easier. We're going to BB sip to try to lose our white purloin suspicion, but I'm not sure if Magician even noticed. I didn't see any reaction and they weren't watching. I think we might have just tried a very understandable, impressive gambit that obviously did not work. General dies anyway. My guess is the sip was not seen, but I understand desperate times call for desperate measures. We get no credit for that. Oh boy.
Great shot by Magician to really narrow that down. I still think that they weren't quite sure who took the drink or who was involved in the purloin, just looking at the people in the aftermath afterwards. So really great comeback to take that shot there, especially after a sip green BB.
Right, and in that case, if they didn't notice the sip, not being a huge suspect might have actually been what swung the game. If they're a huge suspect, you're staring at them and you see the sip and maybe you low light them or discount them. But if you only have them as one of 3 or 4 people, you're not watching them that closely and you just shoot for the BB itself. That might have been what happened. Sometimes as a sniper, you want to catch almost everything, not everything. And as I mentioned earlier, as a spy, always treacherous to assume the sniper's catching all the things you're doing. That might have been what happened here. Theme of the night is Seek, doing things and being the spy, and that's going to continue right now with Magician on Modern. It's not 5 of 8 anymore, it's 4 of 8 in 3, 2, 1, playing it. This is a change from last season, one of the biggest changes. Most other changes were to the clock, 15 seconds here or there, a guest here or there, but Modern bumped down from 5 of 8 to 4 of 8, and I gotta say, playing pretty well.
Yeah, I've liked it a lot more, and it's actually pretty fun to play. I kind of want to play it in casuals after this.
And it's interesting, Magician's okay playing it. Did not like it last season for the same kind of reason they banned Veranda. A little bit of trouble tracking all the fingerprints, big busy party, fair amount of occlusion still, not as much as Veranda. Didn't like Modern very much, had a lot of trouble finishing on it. Question is that still going to be the case with 4 missions instead of 5? Sometimes spies have trouble finishing a venue because they feel exposed on it, which certainly can be the case here. And sometimes it's because of the mission requirements. And I think with Modern 4.8, you're going to find some spies suddenly can finish and others have the same problem because it's actually about the lack of occlusion more than the mission requirements. Magician is at this shelf here, just killing a little bit of time. We already have a rote statue highlight, and we already have a third of the flirt done. I think we might have been at this shelf a little too long. Maybe one cycle too many, I'm not sure there, but back the book goes. And not a super profitable thing to watch for on Modern, especially on 4.8. We're going to go into the bar here, presumably pick up a delegate, probably flirt in this giant conversation. Nope, seduction target leaves. That'll change our options. Seduction target does not go to the other full conversation. They are all alone now, and they're going to leave by the time we get there. So we might just go sit by windows, see where they go next, because I have to imagine a flirt is the next thing we do.
I think it's pretty common for Spy to go from Blue Book to Bar. I'm not sure if that's something that YerAnd's picking up on, but do you find that it's harder to, from the sniper's perspective, to track Purloin when it's Bar Toby or Tray Toby?
It totally depends on the viewing angle, in my opinion. And it's just so game dependent, right? You know, sometimes the bar rushes are just absolutely massive. They happen in conjunction with statue visits as well. So I wish I could give you a satisfying answer, but my answer personally, at least, is a very, very strong it depends. By the way, the flirt is the next thing we get done. 83%. Sip the drink right afterwards. And this is a pretty good conversation to delegate from because it's hard to watch that closely. And there's a lot of occlusion relative to the other conversations, which means sometimes the talk is not seen, but we are running out of time on that Purloin timer.
Yeah, likely not going to take advantage of the delegate. We do go for the delegate onto Buns, who's going to drop the book in green and then head over to the bar. Hopefully it's in time.
I don't think it will be, but it's going to be close. We're going to fingerprint this book in the meantime, and there's the timer. Before she even gets there, it expires. Doesn't work. We go for the difficult print again, and it's missed.
And a bit of a camera shake and frustration for Magician missing that action test there.
Magician famous for the camera shakes on red tests and missed action tests and things like that. Very little has changed there, even though this isn't quite the Magician we've seen in past seasons. He's making steady progress here, too, and yeah, just too late on that delegate, but it was a valiant effort. The thing is, you're incentivized to go near the end of that range, because the closer to the end of that 1 minute range you go, the less likely you'll be caught for it. We're going to go finish inspects in the meantime. We don't have a fingerprint to work with, so our options are very limited, and because they're very limited, we're thinking swaps are 2 for 2, let's go for a third. It's a green, and it is pending. Yep, who's going to get pulled over? Looks like green dress. Green dress for the green swap, seems right. She's going to pick it up.
We're going to head in for the contact, likely to distract. We might even do it while green dress is at the statue.
Yep, she picks up the highlight, and the fade is visible on screen. YerAnd swings over just in time. The party settles down just enough to incentivize and says, no, no, no. This time I'm making sure on that fade, all over it, and we are shot with no contact and 2 missions done. YerAnd hold and serve on Modern.
Yeah, YerAnd having none of it that round, not letting the swap get through.
Magician definitely showing better progress, as I mentioned before about mission completes. On the 5 of 8 venues, Magician did not get to mission win countdown in 9 Modern games. I think they might have in this one, though. The 4th mission thing helps a little bit. YerAnd, on the other hand, has played a lot of Modern, also 5-8. Likes Purloin, likes Microfilm and Swap about equally. Great mission spread from YerAnd. Has done every mission at least a couple of times on Modern, as a matter of fact, but that was 5-8. 4-8's a different animal. YerAnd playing as Salmon in 3, 2, 1, Planet. And Magician's still in a really good position for a point here. After this, it's Gallery, so it's really all about these sniper games for Magician if they want to steal a marble.
Few people at bar, including our ST. Surprising that we're not joining our ST at bar to pick up a flirt. Instead, we're going to head into blue books. I imagine just based on the timing going to books early game with a few people at statues and bar that we're going to bring this book with us and try and dump it into green or red later.
Yeah, 2 statue visitors and 3 or 4 bar visitors, you're right. That does seem like the time for it. But YerAnd looks to be thinking better of it. We're here long enough that we're just going to do a microfilm animation transfer. You do not see that a lot on Modern. I will say, however, that YerAnd's microfilm animation rate much higher than most other top players. Most players are about 4-1 for direct versus animation. YerAnd, it's more like 2-1, and that's pretty significant. We're going to bounce off this window when we see where our seduction target ends up, and we're not going to be penalized for it. We're also not right next to our seduction target, so I think we're going to have to 3 flirt. Might be just close enough for high 40s. Let's see if I'm counting my pixels correctly. I am. It's a white test anyway, but closer than I thought. 33%, the seduction target leaves right afterwards. Microfilm's half done, and I don't want to say the hard half exactly, but very often you can get a lot of occlusion from that far right conversation on the green shelf. So if you get away with blue or red, the harder part of microfilm at least is done if you're going to go the animation route.
Yeah, definitely. Green being the easier one of the two, especially when that back conversation fills up, as you said.
And we are going. Here it comes.
For it.
There are 2 people in the conversation. It's not that many, but it looks like a couple more are joining. They join just in time as if they're accomplices of the spy, and I think we might have had enough occlusion anyway. There is a statue visitor here, which might be a reason to wait, and YerAnd's thinking the same thing. I'll go into this conversation. Maybe lose a little bit of heat for bringing it back to the right shelf. Wait for this statue visitor to get out of the area. Wait for the ambassador maybe to be a little more vulnerable, too.
Yeah, that's something that you're going to see at the high levels of play is when you're going for stuff like the transfer microfilm, or especially just transfer microfilm, is you're waiting for there to be something else going on, a highlight at a statue, the ambassador in a little bit of danger, or someone taking a drink from Toby before you go for that animation there.
We are back at the green shelf now. Magician actually has a pretty good angle on it, but oh, the twin is mostly blocking it, and I think we're still just watching the party in general. Magician's not watching any one thing. I think they were just looking at the whole party, and they have to with this many highlights. That's where it hurts you. You can't afford to focus at this point, and YerAnd's microfilm is done, but it did take them a lot of time. We need to finish up the flirt sooner rather than later. YerAnd says sooner. White test, though, 66% is 33 on each of the first 2 flirts, which means we're going to need to be really close for the last one. And I don't know if we have time for a timer flirt. It would only bring us to 2 missions, and we don't have any inspects done. You can get Bug done in a hurry. You can get Purloin done in a hurry. I don't think you want to be inspecting twice late, though, but I do think we're clean on that microfilm. I think we break animation to leave, and it's a little more noticeable because we are way wide open there. The idea here is going to be...
I think YerAnd could go for a timeout at this point. Banana Bread hasn't happened, so everyone should be a full suspect. Go on the far right side of the venue or right up in the sniper's face and get the timeout in before the sub 1 minute mark.
Great point. This does feel like it. Intuitively, it feels like a good time. We're going to contact first, though. That's going to knock out, let me see here. There's a Leopard with the briefcase, 2, 3 people. Not that bad. That's a pretty good trade, especially given how far along we are and given the fact that it is still modern. We have 1 minute left. We need 1 more flirt and 1 more mission after that. Bug or Purloin? Place your bets.
I think I'll go with the strong. It depends. It's gonna depend on where
oh, you threw it right back in my face. I mean, to be fair, you are the analyst, and I'm the play-by-play guy. I don't have to take risks. Okay, YerAnd, however, does have to do something risky. Go with the statues late. I think you're right. I can't imagine it's going to be statue, given that we need a flirt too. I guess we're going to get the inspects just in case, because why not? We don't want to flirt right away immediately.
Leave our options open.
Wow. Okay. Well, seduction target is walking all the way across the venue. It's going to be really hard here if we want to go inspect again and then flirt. But which one's it going to be first, if either? It's going to be the flirt first, and then into what?
We're going to have to rush the flirt too. This is going to look so bad.
Oh, we're bouncing off the conversation. We're right out front. This is pretty rough. I feel like when we get shot for just a talk here even.
Yep.
15 seconds left. We are talking. The seduction is done. Another highlight comes out for statues. Magician still looks pretty agnostic on all this, though. I don't think a shot is forthcoming, but a timeout might be. We leave conversation. I gotta imagine we're gonna crash Bug or direct Purloin. It's gonna be a crash Bug. We're watching right next to the ambassador. Magician hesitates. Doesn't seem to see it. We go into the same statue, and we're gonna win this game with 4 seconds of overtime. Nobody gets shot during the overtime. We swap for BM at the end.
Yeah, Bug was not visible. I mean, that was a great, I don't want to say it's a great walking bug, but it's a very invisible walking bug, because it's pretty hard to notice from the sniper's perspective. It should be being watched considering the end game here. Magician's camera position, it's not like Magician was watching for the swap, because they would have been rotated to the farther left, so they really should have just been looking at the ambassador here.
Yeah, there are 2, if you want to play devil's advocate, and I know it's so easy to criticize because that's what happens. You make split-second decisions, and then we get to analyze them from the comfort of the broadcast booth afterwards, which is nice and air-conditioned, by the way, too, for that matter. There are 2 ways to criticize this if you want to be very critical, and that's our job. One of them is, yes, you want to be watching the bug particularly close because that's the thing you're worried about losing too late. So, potentially you have a better angle on that. The other argument is that at that point in the game, if one of your highlights who's finished, who's been to statues or just is generally still a suspect, if they path by the AMBA in the waning seconds and then you hear OT, that can be reason enough, even when the bug is invisible, which, as you said, it was. But you make a great point. It wasn't for the statue rotation either. You'd be more forgiven for guarding that swap from Twin and missing the bug as a result. But ironically, that might have given you a better angle too.
It would have, yeah. It just seemed like right there we were not guarding either option extremely well. I mean, and maybe they were just trying to split their attention and guard both. But as you said, maybe rotating to the left, you could have guarded even both, a bit better.
And you might want to give YerAnd a little bit of credit here because, as I mentioned a couple times, Magicians seem not to be focusing on specific missions. They took a high-level view of the party at sort of that 1/3 from the left view that gives you the view of the whole venue at once. Magician was taking the high-level view to see general movement, and that can be very powerful. However, it also leaves you open to good bugs or swaps on the far left, or both for that matter. And in this case, I think it might have been what swung the game, and it's possible YerAnd noticed that angle and noticed it was exploitable, even though we got an assist from the AMBA walking by right then too. That helps. Either way, that's really big for YerAnd because now it's a draw at worst after losing that 4-0 lead, and it is Gallery where they are pretty comfortable, but Magician is too. Magician was happy to leave this open and happy to play Seek again. When I said it was a theme of the night, I didn't realize there was more coming, but here it is.
I like it.
Magician playing as Seek, yeah, one of your favorite characters, I believe, yeah?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Is it the well-dressed thing? Is that what it is? Is it the tux?
I just like his look.
It's pretty cool. That red turban is so cool. Magician playing as possibly the coolest character of the party at 3, 2, 1, playing it. Magician has played Gallery a fair bit, and it's one of their better venues, relatively speaking. Has a little bit of trouble finishing Flirt here, but who doesn't? Does prefer Inspects, but has a really good mission spread, does all of them occasionally, and Purloin Bug and Microfilm in about equal measure. So Magician not afraid of any of it. Good stuff.
And I feel like most people kind of, I feel like we all kind of have to pick one character that we consider our favorite too, right? What do you have one warning track that you consider a favorite?
Well, I've gone back and forth, but I think now that I cosplayed as Bling Twin at the last
Huh.
PAX, I think it has to be now, right? Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. It really depends on the context. Yeah, sometimes it's what's my favorite for bugging, who I think looks the coolest. I think for look alone, it is Seek, and it's because they look cool. It's because they're the best dressed, and it's because, as I've noted on previous casts, that lapel, that rose lapel on that they're wearing, mirrors the folds in the turban, which is a lovely little artistic detail that I can't get enough of. Magician, speaking of can't getting enough of things, Magician needs more time. 45 seconds out front, it is a white test, and that is really tough to get away with on Gallery. But it does mean that AIs are going to complete things. We might want to frame someone, and can you think of a better venue to frame someone than on Gallery?
We haven't seen that many time ads this set, have we? Just I think one on Courtyard when we were out of time, but none kind of in the earlier part of the game.
No, you're absolutely right. We have not seen many, and that's pretty much par for the course. Both of these players time at just a little over 10%, which is slightly on the lower side, at least for some of their Diamond compatriots. Magician has done absolutely nothing other than that time ad, though, and I think you're going to have to get a little more done with that because YerAnd has shown a fair bit of patience as Sniper so far this set.
Heading into Blue Books, likely going to be bringing this out because I don't see much of a need for us to waste time since we have 0 mission progress, and I don't think you're going to white microfilm from this position. So Magician hopefully brings this out into the open with him.
Yeah, probably has to. And if you're bringing a book out, the
Ugh.
odds... Oh, we're not going to. And that does leave the frame alive. I mentioned a frame earlier. You wouldn't frame with microfilm. It doesn't leave a trace. If you microfilm, you're trying to get away with it. Magician trying to do... Well, nothing. Maybe it is a frame. My goodness.
Yeah, let's watch Magician's camera and see if he's keeping it. If by looking at the camera you can see if he's keeping track of the other partygoers.
Yeah, well, what he just did was shake it angrily when the seduction target walked by him. I think he's been trying to get that first flirt off, and I think he's probably figured out this is not going to be an easy game to complete. You're either going to have to go time ad quick or get a little bit of lucky, maybe frame someone for a swap. You could do that as a finish if you're also finishing your inspects, and that seems to be what we might want to do here. 2 inspects done, no flirt done, 2 minutes left on Gallery. Here comes the queen. If we hurry up and get a quick flirt, we might still be okay, but no, we're not going to go. I just don't see how we're going to finish here. We're certainly not going to finish with flirt, and we're really going to get a fingerprint and a hardtail or 2 hardtails by YerAnd on Gallery. Tall order with a tall character, too. We are in this conversation, and we have no reason to be unless we want to do a purloin. Teal, a highlight, rejects it. We get our first flirt, and it's 26% with under 2 minutes left. Those are not numbers you want to be saying together.
Yeah, I think here, I mean, especially with the double reject that just happened right now and General walked away, you pick up this purloin, you finish up inspect, you maybe go for a swap and contact. Because, yeah, we don't have enough time to finish flirt. We do go for the green purloin, which is pending. 2 rejects prior and an offer to Disney who's going to take.
Yep, and how on screen is this? That's actually a pretty good angle for the sniper, better than you get from the back of Gallery sometimes. But as you mentioned, it's only narrowed down. YerAnd's probably going to start taking lowlights now without a contact going off, and I think almost nobody completing inspects. You don't need to shoot yet. You can just narrow this down. Yep, here comes some lowlights. Party not narrowed down as much as you'd expect based on that reject chain, but probably narrowed down so much that Magician still can't finish.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You would expect it to be narrowed down technically to about 4 people if they didn't see the fade, but we're only seeing a few lowlights, so YerAnd may not have been paying enough attention to the purloin. But again, being one of the, I guess there's quite a few highlights. It still seems a kind of a tall order for Magician to try and finish here.
And YerAnd was really watching Orange Sorry on that inspect complete and possible swap. I think it might have been. I'm not sure if that was the first or second visit, but he was definitely watching that sold out on the left angle. So I don't know if actually YerAnd is at all confident who did the purloin, but they're watching for potential finishers other than Magician. So I think it might have been a bit of a frame gambit that maybe is just not gonna quite work. Sorry is talking during the BB, though. If we're trying to frame Sorry, we could not have asked for a better opportunity. But YerAnd is taking low lights and not shooting. This is looking like a timeout for the win. 15 seconds left. We gulp the rest of our drink. The ambassador's right there, but even if we bug them, we can't finish. We still have to inspect. We still have to flirt twice. There's no way to finish here unless a Civ gets shot. And if it doesn't happen in the next few seconds, they're going to wait for overtime, which is not going to come. Magician looks like they're just resigned to their fate. Oh, safety off on Teal. Overtime would have done it, but it never comes. It never comes, and YerAnd wins 7-4.
Yeah, I thought YerAnd was going to take the shot, but it looks like they were just prepping for the OTB, having the shot ready for the swap there. And very unfortunate for Magician. I like the BB timing onto Sorry while Sorry was talking, but as you noted, YerAnd was prioritizing lowlights over looking for who was talking.
I think the decision on the purloin was actually really good. It obviously was not that narrowed down, and normally I think that would work because an AI would potentially finish, and maybe Teal was potentially
In
finishing.
red.
But the problem is, I think there's one of those things where if you have the purloin down to 2 or 3, and one of them finishes, you get shot. But if it's down to 5 or 6, that sort of uncertainty leads to an action, which leads to a timeout. So I
Right.
think this might be another thing where if the sniper had slightly better control of the purloin, you're more likely to win than when they didn't.
Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive, but it does work out that way.
Yeah, that's SpyParty in a nutshell. Sometimes you want them to notice most of the things, but not all of them. Noticing no things is good. Noticing all things is bad. That's the only thing you know for sure. Everything in between is a bit of guesswork. YerAnd goes up 4-0, loses all 4 courtyard games, a sentence I never thought I'd say, but still manages to win 7-4. But wow, as you can see in that last game, Magician was dangerously close to having a sniper game for a draw against YerAnd too. Definitely playing better this year. Doesn't get any credit for it this time, though. YerAnd is going to go undefeated, albeit with a draw, into the break for Diamond. Great start from the new Diamond player, much to my chagrin. Congratulations to YerAnd and Legorv. And congratulations to Monopoly Man and Magician, too, for making such great sets out of what could have easily been stomps on paper. Although you never know. Any given day, guys.